immediate removal of all social materials programs
I'm going to speak specifically on Article 14 with the section regarding anti-Semitism. Listen, we were the only party that campaigned against anti-Semitism. We watched a cabinet minister get kicked out of her cabinet for standing up for her religious beliefs. So we must make sure that as a party we are standing up for hate, or we're standing against hate every single time. We must speak out when we see it. So I'm standing in favor of this clause. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Abbotsford West. If you've been a born-again Christian follower of Jesus, you've seen the tide in our secular society turn against everything that comes from Bible, from the Creator God, and from Jesus. It's about time we set the record straight that people have a right and freedom to their faith, no matter what, and they can't just single us out and let everybody else go free. Thank you so much.
From Abbotsford, Michigan. I stand for Article 14 because our faith and freedom are at the heart of a thriving society. We must defend the right of every individual and community to freely practice their faith without government interference, ensuring that all religious groups can worship, express, and live by their beliefs. At the same time, we must push back against the discrimination that holds back faith-based organizations, and we can do that by guaranteeing and strengthening equal access to government programs, grants, and community spaces.
Stand for Article 15 because our seniors deserve nothing less than full protection and respect. Our seniors built this province, and they deserve to live safely and with dignity. By updating prosecution guidelines to secure maximum penalties for violent crimes against children and seniors, we're sending a powerful message. Abuse of our most vulnerable will not be tolerated. Increasing resources for senior protection initiatives and law enforcement is common sense action that ensures our elders receive the support they need in the face of rising violence. And with digital fraud on the rise, safeguarding our seniors from scams and exploitation by getting tough on criminal fraudsters is more important than ever. Supporting this resolution means you're standing up for the people who have given so much to British Columbia. It's time to protect our seniors. Let's vote in favor of Article 15.
I'm from Mid-Island, Pacific Rim. My issue is actually the time that we've had access to this paper. I know that you mentioned we had 30 days at least. I'm not sure where you got your information from, but this was not posted until February the 14th. So we have not actually had the full 30 days, which is allotted to this, so it should be followed. So I agree with the previous speaker who was at this podium that we have not had an opportunity to really review this policy. I have. I looked through thoroughly and I have compared the previous one because some people took some shots at it back in August of 2024. But I think that it is really up to us as the members to really look and ask yourself, if I look through this very carefully, because there's very important exclusions here, and if I see what's been taken out as well as what's been put in. What we're doing here is we're taking out and voting on parts of the articles. In other words, we're saying something that we feel strongly about, and I agree with some of the things that are being said from the yes side. But nevertheless, we have to look, we don't want to vote in the entire article if we don't know what has been removed, and we're not actually voting for the entire article. It doesn't make sense because you see one thing that you like, that you should then vote all the other things in. You have to have a complete understanding and appreciation of, and
What do you disagree with?
what do I disagree with?
In the policy.
I'm sorry, your time is up.
Because I actually submitted a policy proposal and I received there was no back and forth in terms of trying to incorporate. Like I don't see the motion itself is not here and I don't see it incorporated really into what has been presented, and since there aren't even designated movers for these motions, I'm really curious who's brought them here and who wrote them.
On this particular article, and many of the people in the audience will not know, or the members here will not know that there have been some important things removed from this. In the beginning, we have recognized that undue strain on the health system, the despite spending more than 27 parallel countries and British Columbia Trail Line, etc., some things have been removed, such as systems can be reduced when people are healthy and whole. British Columbia supports the promotion of health and wellness for all British Columbians. Those things have actually been removed, and many people who may not be aware of that, I think those are really very key here, because we now have a sickness system, and this is really a preamble saying that we should change or shift the paradigm.
And that's your time, sir.
That when somebody asked about the policy development, that it was the board who put this together, that again is not grassroots. The riding associations have not had time to review this. Riding associations have policy committees. I don't understand, it's not that we want to oppose this, but it's supposed to be done by members. So we need to have input in that, and this is being really rushed. And it's not our fault that it was only a one-day squished meeting. I just went to a BC soccer annual general meeting where everything was organized, with candidates, with amendments, with policies. They had way more time to give input. So I'm just saying, this is supposed to be done by members and true riding associations. So I don't understand why we can't have more input on this.
They're no longer in power.
What was it before? What is it now? And do we agree or not? Because we need to come out of this thing united. Not in factions, not I don't like you or I like you. What's the right thing to do for British Columbians? It's about our future, our kids, our planet. Let's go together, slowly. I don't believe.
Thank you, that's your time.
That's why I'm up here.
Heard from Panorama Surrey. I stand with everything that Harmon Banker said. As somebody involved in the trucking industry, he knows what he's talking about. Everything the NDP touch, it collapses. And we need a strong, conservative rebuilding of our infrastructure in the road system. Woo!
I'm actually in favor of this as well, but there's just we're kind of changing two things in one motion here, I think. Because there's also a change from the old constitution of 14 to 11 directors, or regional directors. So that's another change. Are we voting on that at the same time, or is that going to be a separate motion?
Hi, thank you. New point never made before. If we are on mute, what an opportunity in the next 6 months for us all to learn how to build a proper constitution that everybody feels strongly about. Do not vote yes.
Michael Henshaw, Gavin Newt, we don't have one choice and one choice alone. I'm not concerned about the additions. I do appreciate the things that John has addressed. It's not the additions and a few things that have been addressed, but it's the multitude of omissions. And I'm sure that the vast majority of people here haven't read and compared the previous constitution with the current one being put forward.
Please direct your comments to the chair. Sure. Okay. Thank you. The yes speaker.
And even though that cannot be ruled upon, I think it's up to the members to say that that is not acceptable, that doesn't have us be able to do our jobs. So I request to make a comment. I understand that the chair cannot make a ruling. We can make a ruling by not passing these amendments until they've been adequately considered and properly, because we are building our party here. So I think my time is up, and I appreciate the time. Thank you.
Regarding abolishing freedom of information request fees, and here is why. We are up against the least transparent, least accountable government in the history of British Columbia. This NDP government does not want scrutiny, and they do not want the people to have the people's information. In 2021, on the last day of session, they rammed through $10 FOI fees. They've recently added interpretations of if you want to FOI 28 ministries, offices, and secretariats, you're paying $280 for any single FOI request. That denies the opposition information, it denies the media information, and it denies the people information about the government.
Steve Moldhouse, Mid-Island and Pacific Rim. I would like to actually make a motion. May I do that? And the motion is, I move that Article 6 be amended to include, and this is a quote, the Conservative Party of British Columbia supports school choice, ensuring parents have options beyond the public system, with funding following the student to their approved educational plan, thus fostering competition and excellence in education. That's my motion.
I'll just take a minute to confer with our parliamentarian.
The actual AGM we're running right now on the decided action for 2004, or 2024, I should say, because we had to delay it due to the election. So this is actually last year's. However, what we're hoping to be able to do, should all these changes pass that we're looking for, is our AGM in the fall will turn into more of an online AGM, where it's going to be more focused on policy. There will still obviously be opportunities for everything else that is going to happen, but there will be an AGM every year, unless we move to what other parties do, which we'll have to talk about in the future AGM, and actually move out of the Societies Act into a different model, which then would be we hold AGMs every 2 years.
And how did the Facebook go on? I appreciate that. And how did that also affect?
All right, can I?
Hi, my name is Judy Davis, president of the White Rock Riding Association, which I love. We've got a great team here. I love this part of you guys, and we've worked so hard for the last 8 years, month after month after month. Riding association, parades, lots of events, building this party, and one of the most fun things of our team was policy development. And this year we were not given the opportunity to submit policies and conventions to highlight. That's what makes us feel empowered as members that we have a voice. So I would love, I'm not in a hurry, I don't mind waiting 6 months to just put it off for 6 months. Nothing's going to happen in that meantime. I will vote in the fall. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm just here to say that I move this amendment, and I hope that it will be supported, because I think it's the right thing to be able to do to make sure we empower our delegates to be elected by the members.
Community of Straight White Rock and other riding, so I want to thank John for doing this, and I'm in full support. Thank you.
Just include some point of clarification. So I think we may need to seek some direction on that, because my understanding is that actually, as the Constitution as it passes, takes effect immediately, which would also be for particular roles. So I'm not sure exactly 100% that is how it's supposed to be read, but I think what we need to do is make sure we get some clarity. So maybe by the end of this discussion, we can come back with that if we can comment there.